All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good buddy Kevin Gosztola. Kevin is the managing editor at Shadowproof. He is the co-host along with Rania Khalek of the podcast Unauthorized Disclosure, all of which and more you can find at shadowproof.com. You can also follow him on Twitter at kgosztola. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Kevin, numerous times you've been on this show. We've discussed your reporting on the torture carried out by the United States of America, the illegal detention carried out by the U.S. Let's get to some of the latest on those topics, because some people might think that it's over now, but it's actually not. It is something that's actually ongoing. Let's begin with the horrific case and treatment of Tariq Ba Odah. Tell us all about him.
Yeah, so Tariq Ba Odah is a prisoner, and like many of the people at Guantanamo, they were brought around 2002, so they've been there for many years. He is cleared for release. Something everyone should always be reminded of whenever we talk about Guantanamo is that President Barack Obama had a review task force in 2009 with representatives from all the national security agencies go through all the cases and decide which ones were people who posed absolutely no threat. There was actually no evidence of anything that they had against them. There's nothing that you could charge them with, so they were cleared for release. So Odah has been cleared for release since 2009. Meanwhile, he's been on a hunger strike, and this hunger strike goes back for about 6 or 7 years at least. And so he has been subject to forced feedings through his nose. It's getting hard for his body to sustain that. And at the same time, what is most critical is he weighs 74 pounds. This is a man who has lost a lot of his body weight. He's gravely ill. And his lawyers from the Center for Constitutional Rights have gone to the government gone to the courts and said that Odah should be released from Guantanamo because he no longer poses any threat. And under the Geneva Conventions, because he is so gravely ill, he could not return to the battlefield and fight against the United States. But more importantly, he has this potential of dying in prison. So he should be released. And, of course, the response, which is very shameful from the Obama administration, is to say that he inflicted this punishment on himself. By going on a hunger strike, he has created this situation where his body is ailing, and he has disregarded advice from medical personnel at Guantanamo. And if he would only listen to them and accept their treatment, then he would be in better shape.
Okay, so let's reiterate some of the main points. Okay, so again, he has been cleared. He has done nothing wrong. He is not a threat since 2009. And again, the fact that it took 7 years for them to actually clear so many of these people is also unbelievably shameful. That was 7 years that even the few that have gotten out, the 7 years they're never going to get back. 7 years under torturous conditions. Okay, so that's 7 years it took them to clear him. He's been cleared since 2009. It's now 2015. He still has not been released. He is still being held, even though he has been cleared for release. He's gone on a hunger strike. He weighs literally right now 74 pounds. That is insane and horrific. And under the Geneva Conventions, if you're ill, you should be released. But also, this man has been cleared to be released, and he's still not being released. I've got all that right?
Yeah, you've got that right. The other thing is that whoever is the doctor at Guantanamo, this senior medical officer who is reviewing Odah, is and has a terribly perverted sense of what it means to be a doctor, because he is making representations to a court that everything is fine, that he watches Tariq in his cell and he acts normal and he looks like he can carry on his life like a normal human being. To which there are 3 experts who have submitted declarations in favor of Tariq, saying, release him. There is something dangerous happening to this human being. He is getting like 2,600 calories a day of nutrients, and none of that is adding to his body weight. There is something terribly wrong with his body and his organs, and are at terrible risk of immediate failure inside of Guantanamo. And the answer that the Obama administration has is to basically up this tortuous force feeding and put him on nonstop force feeding, like hook him up to some apparatus while he's restrained in a bed and have this continuously pumping this Ensure liquid into his body. That's the answer. But you've got this senior medical officer who doesn't recognize or want to recognize that he could have a horrible vitamin deficiency and die at any moment, that maybe there's something else going on internally. A lot of people who are at risk of heart attack or organ failure don't show any symptoms until the moment that they collapse. So it's just incredible what the Obama administration is doing with this human being. And he's a Yemeni prisoner and was a resident of Saudi Arabia. So the Obama administration has consistently claimed it can't send people back to Yemen because there is war in Yemen, which we have helped to create.
Right.
But in Saudi Arabia, there are people who have been accepted and returned there. Why isn't he being resettled or transferred back to Saudi Arabia? That is the critical question. And why are they fighting to keep somebody who is gravely ill and dying inside the prison? I mean, part of it has to do with the fact that he's a hunger striker. And they have maintained that, it's sort of like caving into the terrorists if you let a hunger striker win. If someone is able to resist their confinement and convince the Obama administration to then transfer him out of the unjust detention, well, then they see that as like a win for Al-Qaeda. There are Pentagon of officers who see this as giving a victory to Al-Qaeda.
So releasing a hunger-striking, innocent man who has been cleared, who is near death, who weighs 74 pounds, if you release him, you're letting the terrorist win, according to some people.
Yeah, that's how terribly perverted our government has become.